and welcome back to the channel. I'm Susan.
I'm Tab.
And we are MCU Explained. And today we are here to talk about the amazing epicness that was episode 4 of Wandavision. Oh my gosh.
First of all, I love what they're doing with the titles because it was We Interrupt This Program.
I didn't even notice that. That's amazing.
I love that they're doing these old school, like, commercial kind of titles. I love it.
Sure. Now in color, like I noticed the other ones, and then I like that they finally put in the ones for the first 2 episodes because when they aired, they were just episode 1, episode 2.
Yeah. So loving that. And then it opens with a reverse dusting, a serious side of coming back as opposed to Far From Home, which had like a funnier one. But that makes sense because Spider-Man is supposed to be lighthearted.
Yeah, and it made sense totally with the tone of the show to have it be a little bit more like heart-wrenching. Because that's what it was. And amazing acting being done, like the way she's going crazy and like just hitting the like reception desk where she's just like, no, I need like room 104. By the way, does room 104 mean anything?
I saw some like guesses, but nothing really super definitive. And if you listen when she starts coming back, there's audio clips, and they're not from the hospital; they're from Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. You can hear her mom and Carol talking about her, and you get a very clear Carol calling her Lieutenant Trouble right before she's back.
Right, I loved that too, and I just really love the visual of the reverse flipping.
Yeah, I like how for her, like she was back except her hands weren't. Mm-hmm. So like seeing your hands come back is very super disorienting.
And again, changes the tone of what we've seen from the reverse blipping or dusting from, because in Spider-Man, when they showed it happening, it kind of just looked more instant.
Yeah.
And it was like comical. Like people just appearing in apartments that they like hadn't lived in a while and stuff like that. Like that, it was a lot more funny, again, because Spider-Man's a lot more of a lighthearted, funny title than this is.
Yes, yeah, and the chaos of the hospital was great. I don't know if you caught that nurse or orderly saying they're all coming back. We don't have the capacity. Yeah, because I'm sure some sick people were snapped. Like there's probably people popping up in beds that already have patients in them.
Yeah. And how does that work? Would they blip on top? That would just be real awkward.
Yeah.
All of a sudden come back and you're just like laying on top of another human.
Oh, no. Like, especially since the people who got blipped seem to generally think that they fell asleep.
Yeah. They all seem to not understand that they're missing time.
Yeah, even Peter thought that he must have fallen asleep, even though he had the strongest reaction to being snapped because he had his spider sense was like, whoa, something insane is happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he also had the benefit of having Doctor Strange there who knew what was going on when he came back.
That's fair.
So even though like he still had a strong reaction and still thought he fell asleep, he also had the benefit of, you know, the Sorcerer Supreme being able to explain to him what happened, do this thing, they show up, and he still is disoriented.
Yeah.
And let me just point out the fact that all those Avengers were able to show up for Cap right after coming back from the blip, that's insane strength right there. Just point that out.
It is. I think I would say for maybe the people in Wakanda and the people that were on Titan, it was more like, oh, we're still in this battle. But there are a lot of other people who weren't involved at all. Mm-hmm.
Like I think about Wasp specifically coming back from, because she was blipped while Ant-Man was inside the quantum realm.
Yeah.
So she must have been super disoriented because she probably thinks that she has to pull him out, but he's not there. He's been pulled out already.
Yeah. And then her portal that opens up is teeny tiny.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't notice, in Endgame, there's a teeny tiny portal and Waffle flies through it.
And she comes through it and then gets big.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Anyway, so back to WandaVision.
Right. So in this hospital opening, the doctor that took care of Monica's mom tells her that Maria Rambeau died 3 years ago, 2 years after she disappeared, which obviously she takes very hard, and is super tragic. Love Maria Rambeau. Sad that she won't be in it unless we see things set before this. And then not even special credits this time. This one, full widescreen Marvel movie.
I enjoyed that too. I was like, yes, because it felt more like a Marvel movie opening. So of course they gave it the Marvel movie credits.
Yeah, but like no like theme song. Like, we're serious real life now.
Yeah.
And then we go to S.W.O.R.D. There's news screens say it was still covering the blip. It says the blip brings back loved ones on the news screens. Like that's still very much what is going on in the world as Monica returns to S.W.O.R.D. to meet with acting director Taylor Hayward, who is possibly maybe related to a S.H.I.E.L.D. character who was Brian Hayward, but was with Hydra. So maybe not related to him.
I noticed that and I was like, that's not good.
Yeah, if his brother is a Hydra guy, probably got to be suspicious of him now.
And I was like, man, Hydra can't be everywhere. And then I was like, wait, but the heads and like...
Yeah, Hydra is everywhere.
It's like, fine.
They have a brief mention of the astronaut training program and how he lost half the astronauts and now everyone's scared. Don't know if that's supposed to be a Fantastic Four setup nod, maybe. I
thought maybe yes. And then I also thought it might be a nod to the idea that in the comics, S.W.O.R.D is in space.
In space, that's fair. It's also just maybe a way to clarify we are in space.
Yeah, we at least started in space before the blip.
And then he mentions, they aren't just focused on their stuff anymore. They've moved on to like nanotech, all sorts of other technology.
AI,
yeah. And Monica has that great line about space has always been full of threats and allies because she knows.
Yeah, she knows.
We find out that Maria also started and built up S.W.O.R.D, which is great. Another lady founder starting up a government superhero related program.
And I really wish that we could see somehow that meeting between her and Peggy.
Oh, I would love that. Maybe we will.
Maybe we will. I would adore that, because that even just with Peggy being one of the founders of S.H.I.E.L.D., she would have had to have met with the military at some point and understood everything that was going on. Obviously, they kept the Tesseract at S.H.I.E.L.D. headquarters for like such a long time. So Captain Marvel in the MCU made from the Tesseract. Like there had to have been like, we need, like, I feel like Peggy recruited Maria.
Oh, that would be wonderful. I would love to see that. Absolutely.
Wishful thinking.
And when they're talking about her, we see her plaque, which has her call sign Photon, which is, as we mentioned in the last episode,
in the mini episode.
In a mini episode, we talk about how that is one of Monica's superhero names and how she's had several. Probably she'll be called Photon, I hope.
I hope she's called Photon also, especially because I've lost a parent and I can't imagine not being able to say goodbye and wanting to like pay homage to a parent who you've lost is very important for the grieving process. So I totally think she's going to be Photon. I'll be very surprised if she's not.
And it does make sense because the honoring the parent thing, because in a lot of ways, Marvel was a parent to Carol.
Yeah.
And that's how she gets to be Captain Marvel, how she gets that.
Yeah, and then you also have Star-Lord, who pays homage to his mother constantly with all of her awesome mixes. So
Yeah.
we've seen that theme several times in Marvel already. So I'm thinking that she's going to be Photon.
Then, okay, so Tyler gives her mission, which is a pretty basic mission. Please chaperone this drone to help the FBI with a missing persons case. And we find out that under her mother's protocol, her mom believed that people would come back, but if they did, they're grounded for a while. So Monica must have been part of the air and space team before she was snapped.
Mm-hmm. And that's not surprising at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No, her mom was a pilot. Her aunt is a flying superhero.
Mm-hmm. She's Lieutenant Trouble. Of course, she was going to want to be the coolest thing ever, like a combination of her mom and her aunt, which she kind of is.
Yeah, she kind of is. So we see her go to Westview, New Jersey, which is the first time we find out where Westview is. Mm-hmm. It's in New Jersey, which is also where Vision and the Scarlet Witch make their home in the Vision and the Scarlet Witch. But it's not Westview. It's a different city, but it's still New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then here comes James Woo, and he does the card trick. First thing. And I was like, yay! And I think in our last episode, I was even like, I hope they keep this thread going, but I don't know if they will. And then that was the first thing they had him do. I was so happy.
That was something you even texted me, like, he did the card trick. And I was like, I know, I'm so happy for you.
It's a great little character thing. He likes to do magic because of Scott Lang. Mm-hmm. So he says the missing person is someone under witness protection, which is alarming anyway, because when people under witness protection go missing, it's usually not great. But then he says that their friends and family never heard of them, like they never existed. And then the cops standing in front of the sign that says Westview say Westview doesn't exist.
Yeah, they're from Eastview.
Yeah. So now we're dealing with...
And also, we saw like an exit for Westview when Monica was driving as well. So like it exists. But it opens up a whole new idea that like people even outside the bubble have been affected by Wanda.
Yes. Certain people don't remember that it's a town, and certain people don't remember their loved ones that were in the town, which, definitely implies that Wanda is way out past the barrier doing stuff, but also how did she pick which people, because obviously Jimmy and Monica are like, the sign's right there, we can see it. Jimmy didn't forget about his witness protection person. Right. So is it a radius thing? Do you have to be within a certain...
Yeah, or is it a, like, this is kind of morbid, but is it like also because it's like loved ones and family, is it a blood thing?
Oh, that's interesting. Maybe.
Because like we don't know how far away those family members of the witness live. Like if they're outside the radius, there has to be something else. And it also, again, implies Mephisto is enhancing Wanda's powers somehow.
Yes, that's a huge reach. That's a very large amount of area to cover. So Monica grabs the drone. Here is a number reference. The S.W.O.R.D vehicle that she has is number 8512, which might be a reference to what I was just talking about, the Vision and the Scarlet Witch 12-issue comics. But the plot points that are being pulled from that comic is a lot of the stuff with the twins, that they were babies, Wanda made herself pregnant, and probably had to use something, we'll find out later, to make the babies beyond just her own magic.
Yeah.
The droid is Captain Marvel colors. And then we know that it turns into the toy helicopter once it disappears into the barrier. So that also means, or we see later, but we know now that if something goes through the barrier and it changes and it comes back out, it doesn't change back.
Yeah.
So the changes seem to be permanent.
Mm-hmm.
So that droid's a helicopter now forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we see Monica get sucked into the barrier after touching it a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of things changing, obviously we know her clothes change, but she wears her badge on a lanyard, and that's what turns into the S.W.O.R.D necklace.
Yeah.
Monica's gone, so obviously now, huge escalation. We get the 24 hours later banner, and we see a truck full of people, including Darcy Lewis,
who's now a
doctor, and gave up pursuing political sciences to be an astrophysicist, which is so exciting, so awesome.
Thank you, Jane Foster.
Thank you, Jane Foster. Thank you, Thor. Obviously, that stuff really affected her and made her want to change her whole life, which is awesome.
Yeah, I was very happy for her.
Yes. And she is a great person. Her and Jimmy both are great characters to view this through, to see their side of things.
Yes, for sure. I was upset she never got her coffee.
I was too. A lot of people were. I've seen quite a few memes about Darcy never getting her coffee.
Yeah, because I was like, dude, she solved this whole thing for you. Get her coffee, man.
Get her some coffee. She finds out that no data is coming back from the droids. And then, which is most likely, they immediately change it to something else as soon as they cross the barrier.
Oh, yeah.
The droids are now.
I mean, we know that one drone turns into a toy helicopter. They're probably all doing something similar. So,
and I'm wondering if that's the crashing sounds that Wandavision we're hearing is sounds of things crossing the barrier.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Because it looks like they sent a lot of drones in a row, which would make sense for the episode where it's right outside their window where they keep hearing it. And then we see, Darcy mentions, hey, look who's here. It's the FBI, the Army, the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, a research lab, Space Command. What is going on?
Yeah.
They've called in everyone. They do not have any idea what's happening.
I did like Darcy going, like, even in the car ride there when she was like, oh, you're a this, you're a this, you're a that. And she's like, oh, so they have no idea what they're dealing with.
No idea. Bring all the science.
Yeah, all the science. And then it turns out Wanda's magic. So
doesn't matter.
Yep.
So Darcy finds that high-level CMBR with their equipment, which is energy left over from the Big Bang. I'm way oversimplifying that probably, but in the Marvel universe, the Big Bang also created the Infinity Stones. So anything relating to them is likely going to send off a lot of that. So I assume that also when Carol's around, there's a lot of it.
Right.
Anyone who got their powers from a stone.
Yes. And it just made me think of in Endgame when Rocket's explaining the ground zero for a high level of energy. That's what came to mind for me when Darcy was talking about the high levels of energy. I was like, because of the Infinity Stones, and Wanda is made from one. Carol probably, same.
Yeah,
we're same page.
Same page. So she finds a broadcast wavelength, and she manages to see that there's a picture, and she asks for an old TV. All incredible. I love her. I love that she is now the one in charge. Great character development for Darcy. Yeah,
great character. And I just love that she still has maintained her core sense of humor, even becoming a doctor of astrophysics. She's still sitting there eating chips with Jimmy Woo.
Yeah, and she lifts that heavy thing and she's like, oh no, I got it.
Yeah, I got this. Don't
help.
There's two giant military men right there, and there's Darcy has to pick up her own computer, but that's cool, or the equipment or whatever it was.
I don't know what it was.
I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I was like, girl, I feel you. I understand that. Don't help me, I'm fine.
So then we see the guy in a hazmat suit going into the sewers. Point for us, the hazmat suit did turn into a beekeeper suit.
And we learned that there is a barrier even underneath, because once he crossed that barrier, that's when he turned into the beekeeper. So we know that it wasn't like he came up into it and became a beekeeper. It was that the energy field extends all the way underground.
Yes, and you cross it and you change, and you don't change back, and we don't know what happened to him still. Some people online have said that the guy serving ice cream at the beginning of the third episode, like part of the credits, looks like it could be him. I am real torn on whether or not that's the same actor. Very torn.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure now that we have seen both sides of that guy, that they will probably be a little bit more obvious in the next episode, like showing us what happened to him, because that just seems kind of like their MO.
So we also see, because we're still seeing all this from the perspective of Inside S.W.O.R.D, we see that all their equipment is registering the hexagon shape, which is the outline of the barrier.
Yep, which we finally understand. And I thought that was great because Jimmy Woo's writing, what is the hexagon shape? I was like, our viewers keep asking that too.
What is the hexagon shape? It's the barrier, which is like a witch's hex. It's her spell. It's shaped like a hexagon.
So now we know.
Now we know. Darcy gets the TV. We get to see they tune in towards the end of the first episode that we saw, and they confirm Vision's dead for real, and that the universe created a sitcom starring two Avengers.
Yep.
Once acting director Hayward understands what he's seeing and what's going on after she gets him, I guess, caught up on what she knows, he demands an immediate transport back to his headquarters. And I'm going to say that's to see if Vision's body is still there.
That's exactly what I thought was happening as well. Because,
like, oh no.
Yeah. And this comes to the point that we've discussed that might not be Vision.
That might not be Vision.
I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out, like whether or not his body is back at S.W.O.R.D headquarters, because again, one of the things they made sure to mention when he was walking Monica through was AI. That implies, like, Vision.
Yeah, Vision. He might be some version of operational if he's still at S.W.O.R.D headquarters. So we might see, I guess, kind of two Visions, even if they bring him over to try to help.
And we know also from Infinity War that Shuri was very capable of putting Vision back together without a stone. So if they recruited Shuri, and she could do what she was trying to do in Infinity War, it is a very real possibility that his body could wind up functional again, based on the science that she was talking about before everything happened in Infinity War.
Yeah, and she also, right before she gets attacked, clearly saves her work. So even if she can't come help, she could send them the data she had.
Yeah, but I would like to see her there.
I would love to see Shuri there. So now we get we're fully into the Westview anomaly. It started as a missing person case. That's where we're starting. So they start identifying people in the cast, and they put their driver's license with them, and they refer to them as played by, because Wanda has given everyone alternate names because they're all actors. Yeah,
she gave them all. And that was actually I thought that was really funny. I genuinely laughed out loud because I didn't expect that. Like, I expected them to have the same names. But no, Wanda has cast this show and given everybody new names. So they're characters.
Suburban reality.
Yeah.
So on the board, as I'm sure a lot of you noticed, they never found an ID for Agatha that we saw. They don't know who she is.
Agnes.
Agnes, but also I really still feel like it's Agatha Harkness.
No, I agree with you. That was definitely Freudian, because I completely agree with you. I think it's Agatha Harkness, and I really think that she's put in there by Mephisto, and they're not going to find out who she is, because she doesn't have New Jersey driver's license.
She's not real. She's not real. She's a witch. She probably has, because Mephisto has so many other identities.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Yeah,
what she
but
goes
also
back.
notably missing from that board was Dottie.
Yes. Here's my guess on this. Let's see if you think the same thing.
Okay.
She's the witness under protection.
That's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought.
Because Jimmy would be like, oh, I know her. She's the one under witness protection. Let's not share this information. We still have to protect her.
Yeah.
So don't worry about Dottie, I would imagine is kind of how that goes.
Yeah. Even though they didn't explicitly say this, and I think we're about getting to this point in the episode, when Jimmy goes through the radio, he also doesn't care that she's with Dottie because Darcy says something about like she's with someone else. She's with
Never seen.
Yeah. And he said, like, let's just do this. Like, he kind of brushes through it. So it seems like he doesn't seem to care that Dottie would know who he is.
That's interesting. And then Jimmy has his own board with all of the questions that we've been asking, because Marvel knows this audience so well that even though this show was filmed a year ago, there are all the things that we've been talking about. Why are there hexagon shapes? Are scrolls involved? Is Vision alive? Mm-hmm. Just everything that, we've been talking about. But we also learned that it's a 5-mile radius around Westview in the shape of a hexagon. Mm-hmm. And that they have tried phone, digital, and drones to get through the barrier to talk to someone. Mm-hmm. Oh, he also says, why sitcoms? Great question. Yeah. Why sitcoms?
I think it's because, my answer to why sitcoms, because I actually answered him out loud because that's who I am as a person. Why sitcoms? Because sitcoms are perfect.
Yeah.
They portray like a type of perfection or that we strive for. So
especially the older ones, nothing really bad happens in a sitcom.
Right. And everything's always fixable. Nobody dies in a sitcom. Like, it just, that's why sitcoms for me is like, if you're going to create a perfect world where, the love of your life didn't die and potentially your brother is still around, like, and nothing bad ever happens, sitcom, a 50s sitcom.
All right. So then we see Jimmy and Darcy watching together. And they see Monica for the first time. And she's not in a speaking role yet. She's just an extra sitting on a bench. Mm-hmm. And he is very confused that she's not acting like the person he saw when he met her. And Darcy says maybe she has to play along. And he says, with whom or else what? And there we get super Twilight Zone again.
Twilight Zone, exactly what we were talking about last episode.
It's the kid who, if you upset him and you think an unhappy thought, something really horrible happens to you.
And P.S., we'll get to this in a bit, but that's pretty much what happens.
Yeah.
We knew what happened to Monica, but we actually got to see it this episode. So
right. They are going to try and contact Wanda, and they also get a picture of the drone and find out it's just in color in that world for some reason. And that it's changed, obviously. Now it's a little helicopter. Mm-hmm. And Jimmy says for the aesthetic, which, yeah, it has to make sense. And Darcy says to render it useless. And yeah, I think they're both right.
Yeah.
So here's where they try to contact Wanda over the radio. Now we know, because we saw the scene that gets cut out of the broadcast, that it absolutely does work. Wanda does hear him and start to lose control. And Dottie slips out of her trance and doesn't know who Wanda is anymore. Mm-hmm. They don't get to see that. That's right. Just cut out and it jumps.
Yeah, to them it just looks like a weird cut.
Right, and they don't even see Dottie cut her hand.
Right.
She talks about getting the blood out of Lennon, but they don't actually see.
Okay.
Because Wanda reacted to that because it was so weird to her. Because Wanda, at that point, because I think it's less now, when things would sort of snap back to her having less control, mm-hmm. it would confuse her. Because she didn't understand why the people weren't like reacting to what had just happened or seemed okay. And then we see the full Beekeeper event from his perspective, including that his cable turns into a jump rope. They wind back up, and now they just have a jump rope at the end of their cable. Super weird. He comes up into the sewer. Everything was in color briefly, but I think that was for our benefit because then it goes into black and white.
Right.
And we see Wanda say no, and we still don't see what happened to this poor man.
Right. Yeah, and that's why I think that we're going to see him very clearly cast as a part in a future episode.
Yeah, it's interesting. The rewind seemed to make him go back down into the sewer. So I wonder if he's like a maintenance worker now or like a plumber or something. Yeah. So then Darcy and Jimmy are now watching the birth. And Monica says he was killed by Ultron. And Jimmy reacts as we all did. Did she just say Ultron? Have they ever referenced anything about our world before? No, not in the show parts. In the commercials, yes, but we still don't really know what that is.
And there was no commercial in this episode.
Right, we didn't even get a commercial. We just saw part of the watch commercial again. So when it cuts this time, it's a wild cut. It goes from Monica just being there to them sitting on the couch with the babies in credits. And so they know for sure someone's censoring the broadcast.
Yep.
To me, it's weird to think that Wanda is censoring the broadcast because I don't know if Wanda even knows that it's being broadcasted.
I mean, if the goal is perfection, it makes sense that it could be Wanda. But also, her powers are clearly being enhanced by somebody else because Wanda can't she's super powerful, but she also would need help to get the kind of reach and the kind of like just power that she's displaying right now. So it just again points to the idea that Mephisto's around.
Yeah, maybe she's broadcasting it, but if she's broadcasting it, maybe he's censoring it.
Yeah.
Because obviously he doesn't want people to come in and help if his goal is to get those babies and he doesn't have them yet. So then Jimmy and Darcy run away, but we stay with Wanda and Monica and we see what happens for the first time. Wanda says Ultron, and that kind of blew me away. How did you know about Ultron?
Yeah.
Wanda's real aware of what's going on now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanda breaking that much was shocking to me. I loved her heel turn, so to speak. Like, you're not welcome here. Like,
yes, you're not my neighbor. You're not my friend. You're a stranger and an outsider.
Yeah.
Monica now has the information that strangers and outsiders won't be trusted should they try to send someone else in again. She also kicks Monica out, and Monica goes through 4 walls, breaking the 4th wall. Literally. And then Wanda seems like surprised, scared at what she's done. She kind of like, she was in control, but she lost control. That kind of.
It's very Wanda in the comics to me. This is what Scarlet Witch does in the comics all the time. It very much like we haven't in the MCU seen a lot of the way Wanda is in the comics. This to me was like one of the very first times we've seen her behave that way. The only other time I can really even say that she's behaved like she does in the comics is the like, I can't control their fear, only my own, and shoving Vision down like fucking 20 flights. Yeah. So, but yeah, here we are. And then she just puts things back together. I guess what else is she going to do? And Vision comes in and we see that little bit again, but it cuts away and then it cuts back and it focuses on Vision and oh boy, he's dead. It is Vision as he looked the last time we saw his body, the stone pulled out, dead. That was so upsetting too. And way to go on the, like, again, shifting that that tone from like happy sitcom to like horror movie. because like that, like just seeing the dead eyes and everything, and like he's walking towards her at one point, and he's walking towards her normally, but like the way it's shot makes it look so much more like a horror movie, the same way we saw that happen in the first episode at the dinner table.
Yes, and it's terrifying too that he sounds the same. It's just full on horror movie.
Yeah.
Super excited for Multiverse of Madness because they said that would be their first horror movie. And between this and the zombie Tony in Far From Home, very excited because both of those scares were genuinely scary.
Yeah, genuinely scary, genuinely jarring, especially when you're watching it at 1 a.m.
Yeah. So even Wanda is scared. She wasn't expecting it. Yeah. She obviously let her control drop in some way because she's the one making Vision look normal. Yeah. So here we have, I don't think a definitive that she's puppeteering his dead body around and reanimating it, so to speak, but it's possible that she did take the body and is doing something to make him alive again. And if she drops that, he just looks like dead.
That is possible. The other possibility is, I was wondering if that was Mephisto fucking with her.
Oh, damn.
Excuse the language. Like she just did something bad to kind of mess up the world that like he allowed her to create, if that's the storyline. So if that's the storyline, you know, so this is very much like a conditional thing where like if he's allowing her this opportunity to have a perfect life with the man of her dreams and have a family and everything, if that's what's happening, she just messed up real bad by doing what she did to Monica, and so he has to do something to get her back really quick. Yes, that was my other theory, though probably not correct. I just like the outlandish theories sometimes.
I do like that. My other one is that, like we've said, it's just a version of Vision from somewhere else, just like another or an actor playing him or whatever. And because she was shaken up from everything that just happened, she remembered that he's dead, kind of. And so when she saw him, he was dead.
Yeah. A much more plausible theory. You always ground me. Like, I'm like, this is a crazy theory. That's all these conditions. And you're like, or this. And I'm like, well, yes, yours makes a lot more sense.
So Vision looks pretty terrified, like he does sometimes now. He says, we don't have to stay here. We can go wherever we want. And she says, no, we can't. This is our home.
Yep.
And then
she chokes up a little bit when she says, no, we can't. Yeah. Like, it's a really interesting line delivery on her part.
Yeah. They can't go anywhere they want.
Yeah.
Only here. And that she has everything under control.
Ominous statement right there.
And she picks up a baby, asks what they should watch tonight, and Vision just continues to look really disturbed and horrified, which is another reason why I don't think he's just like a reanimated dead body. He's having independent thoughts and fears and ideas without her doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I think that we are going to find out soon that S.W.O.R.D has his body, and that that maybe that's not Vision.
I'm down to see 2 Visions too.
I'm down to see 2 Visions also, because that's happened before.
Yeah. So the very last thing before in credits and all that, Monica's outside the barrier and she says, it's Wanda. It's all Wanda. So she knows. And it is, regardless of the involvement of another villain, Mephisto,
or whoever,
Nightmare, whatever, it is all Wanda.
All Wanda. Yeah, that's the bottom line here. It is all Wanda. None of this would be happening. None of this would exist. It's all Wanda.
It's all Wanda. The outro song is Voodoo Child by Jimi Hendrix. Actually, I think that's 2 people, Curtis Knight and Jimi Hendrix. And that is a song about seeing you on the other side and seeing you in the next life and being a voodoo child. Yeah.
But also Monica still looks like she's from the 70s, so that makes sense to me too. They
have done a very good job of getting a song with a good meaning for the show that also fits the era.
For sure. I love it.
So I'm going to hit you, Susan, now with a theory that is new that we have not even considered before.
All right.
All right.
I'm here for it.
There were 7 Infinity Gems, and the Ego Gem was sent to a different universe. It went to a different Earth, Ultraverse. And the 6 gems coming together drew the Ego Gem out and caused it to sort, and it does not get along with the other gems. Yeah. So them being gone now is actually a good thing for the Ego Gem. What it does, it's different than the other 6. It partially possesses beings that come into contact with it, and they retain a lot of their free will, but they're also hosts compelled to act in the gem's interests. If you combine it with the original 6, it actually turns it into a living being. I keep thinking, are we done with the Infinity Gems?
Oh my God. First off, I have never even thought of that storyline ever. I don't know. Like, I know that at one point I skimmed it, but I don't even think I remember really.
Yeah.
Diving into that. Oh my God.
So yeah, the coming together of and then destruction of the gems may have called out the Infinity Gem, and it might just be there somewhere.
That could be what's enhancing her power as well.
It could be. It would be enhancing her powers. And like I just said, she would still retain most of her free will.
Yeah. And then also, if it
wants something.
Like that could be where the twins came from.
Yeah. It wants the twins. It wants something chaos.
Alternate theory to Mephisto.
Yeah. And not one that I've really seen anyone talk about. Again, I think that everyone else, whether this is true or not, like everyone else is like, I think we're done with the Infinity Gems.
Yeah,
we wrapped that up.
The Infinity Saga, we ended it. But if we're going into the multiverse of madness, this makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that gem does not belong in our universe.
Yeah, that gem doesn't belong here. They need to get rid of it. It also makes a lot of sense that Wanda wouldn't be involved because Wanda's now been messed with by 2 gems.
Yes. Yeah. From how I understand it, this is all super guessing. It could be the reason why Vision is kind of himself. Because again, you retain most of your free will, but you're also acting on behalf of something else.
Yeah. This makes a lot of sense.
So that's my new hot theory.
We're headed into the multiverse of madness. This actually does bridge the gap that you would need to have.
Yeah, even though Wanda is messing with reality, she's still playing in our reality. We actually, for as much talk as we've had about maybe this Vision's from another reality, and that's why
pulled from souls from another reality. Like we've had a lot of what ifs about
yeah.
Like
but we don't have any proof.
Yeah, and the only thing we can say is that she's only playing as far as she knows in our reality. The Ego Stone would bridge that gap.
Yes. Yeah. That would bring in another reality. So if she is, and this show is going to be Here Comes the Multiverse, I mean, something is going to have to be from another universe at some point.
That's true. I like this theory.
All right. So on Instagram from Colombian Love 41, do you think that the twins might be the 2 versions of Pietro, one MCU and one X-Men? So I guess essentially that the twins would be 2 little baby Quicksilvers, and one is Evan Peters and one is Aaron Taylor Johnson?
No, I don't. I think that they're definitely going to be the versions that are like Wanda and Vision's twins. Like I don't think that they're going to be just 2 little Quicksilvers. Sorry.
Yeah. And I would hate to lose Wiccan.
I would hate to lose Wiccan. Wiccan is so cool. Wiccan was, I preferred Wiccan. So I would really hate to lose him.
Wasn't Wiccan one of the first gay characters in Marvel? Openly gay characters?
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, we can't lose him. Lizarilla on Instagram says, who is the witness Agent Wu is looking for? And then he adds, I think Hydra is behind it all. Could be Strucker. I've seen a couple of people talking about maybe Strucker's involved, even to the point of, and maybe this is what he means, that Strucker is the the person under witness protection.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. He didn't really get a huge out in the MCU. Yeah.
That would be interesting to have Strucker under witness protection. Don't we also know that that actor is cast in this show somewhere?
Do we?
Do we? I thought we did know that.
At some point, maybe we did. I know. I can say if you go to IMDb, there's a picture for every episode, even though there's not the title. And there is one picture, I believe it's for the 6th or 7th episode, and it looks like maybe it will be a flashback episode. So I would think if Strucker was going to show up, it would be there when she's remembering.
Gotcha.
We didn't really see what happened to her in Pietro. We just know that
never did see what
they were there
at all.
Yeah.
And then, but yeah, I do think that it's possible that it's Dottie in witness protection as well. That's another possibility for who could possibly be in witness protection. So yeah.
And then Noah Gavin. Hi, Noah. She wants to know, who is Dottie, just in general?
I don't know. I'm really excited to figure out who Dottie is. I don't know. I don't even have theories on who she might be.
Yeah, she's really interesting. Some people think she might be Clea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. Clea's from the dark dimension, so that also brings in another realm. We've been to the dark dimension before in Doctor Strange, but that's where Clea's from. So
yeah. And I imagine they would want to keep an eye on those people from other dimensions.
But the only thing that doesn't track with her being Clea is, why would she be with the FBI witness protection? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
And also, why would then the thing about friends and family not knowing who she was wouldn't make sense either.
Yeah. And also because her dad's Dormammu. So there'd be like, I really don't think they like called up like, hey, Dormammu, what's up? So we lost your daughter. I know she's here on Earth, like watching shit for you. So like.
Yeah. Hey, Dormammu, it's just me, Jimmy Woo. Agent Woo, what's up?
Hey, do you want to see a card trick? It's better than that time loop that Doctor Strange had you in, I swear.
And then Deanna on Facebook asked, are any of the people / actors in Wanda's show significant to the MCU, or are they just random people?
I mean, I didn't notice them being significant people.
I mean, obviously, we think that Agnes is Agnes.
Well, yeah. Besides Agnes, I guess I just took Agnes out because she technically isn't cast. Really, they can't find her real persona or her real human like counterpart. So.
And then we don't know who Dottie is. Lots of speculation. Obviously, could end up being someone important.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, Agnes being, if she's Agatha Harkness, then that would make her like a mentor to Wanda, and again, kind of support Wanda's heel turn a little bit.
Yeah, she's kind of she's a very gray area character.
Yeah. But she's also associated with Doctor Strange sometimes. So
yeah,
she's just a very like gray area character where she doesn't have like a loyalty necessarily.
Yeah, you don't know what she's going to do.
Exactly. So yeah, I think that she's going to be important, and then potentially whoever Dottie is could be important. But most of the other ones don't seem to be important.
They don't seem, we haven't really focused on anyone else in the way that we have on them and them being important. They go out of the way in the show to make Dottie even important in the town.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get in with her for things to go well for you.
Could support the fact that it's Clea, you know?
Yeah.
Because Clea is the sorceress supreme in her dimension.
Oh, yeah. And there's lots of flower imagery with Dottie, too. And you guys should know how I feel about the flowers. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, Clea's not the most outrageous theory for it. Though I really hope that they change her costume from the comics to the MCU, because it is a weird costume.
I would imagine they've done a great job, I think, so far of updating costumes to be realistic and like something a human being would wear.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So I hope that they do the same thing if she turns out to be Clea.
Okay, so there was a leak over the weekend.
Yes, so please turn this off right now if you don't want to know about the leak. It was a full 30-second leak.
Yeah, if you don't want spoilers, don't want to know about the leak, bye. Thank you for watching. But if you do, or if you saw it, hang with us. So I'll just
now. You've passed the threshold.
We passed it. Now we're going to talk about it.
Leak territory. So if you haven't turned it off, this is your own fault. Or you want to know.
The leak involved a clip of Evan Peters dressed as Quicksilver in what appears to be the Halloween episode because everyone's wearing their costumes. Wanda's in her classic Scarlet Witch. We see little Tommy and Billy dressed as Little Speed and Wiccan, which is just adorable. And then Billy comes in and he says, something's wrong with Daddy. I can hear him. So something's going on with Vision. And Wanda panics. And Quicksilver, real snotty-like, says, what's your dead husband gonna do, die again? Or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like, he can't die twice.
And so she blasts him in the middle of a busy Halloween.
Yeah, it's like a Halloween party. It looks like a carnival that they might be at.
Yeah.
And she blasts him right in the middle of it. So
lots of things here. His design is very much the comic book Quicksilver. He does not look like Aaron Taylor Johnson's Quicksilver, and he does not look like the Fox Universe Quicksilver, but it's also Halloween. So grain of salt with all of that, because I don't actually put it past the MCU casting him to mess with people. Right.
I completely agree. I think that I still think, and I've said this in a couple episodes, I think that he's going to appear as Quicksilver to mess with her, but is potentially a bigger threat villain, Mephisto.
Yes. Yeah. What's really important about his interaction with her, a few things. He knows about the outside world.
Yep.
He knows Vision died.
Yep.
So that means he's not from in the bubble. Right? Or it means if he is from in the bubble, she's letting him have this knowledge for some reason. She's letting him play the part.
Her brother.
Yeah, letting him play the part.
Yeah.
And then also, definitely the Aaron Taylor Johnson Quicksilver, but also I don't think the Fox Quicksilver either would have said that to her.
I don't think that either Quicksilver would have said that to Wanda, because in the Fox version, she's his little sister. In the Aaron Taylor Johnson version, he's a twin brother and is very protective of her. Like, he can't handle when she just gets knocked down. So I can't imagine why either version of Quicksilver would be that rude, snotty, flat out mean to his sister.
Yeah, the Fox Quicksilver is snarky, but he's not mean.
He's not cruel.
Yeah.
The saying, like, you can't kill your dead husband twice. Like, or like, your husband's dead, was he gonna die twice? Like, that's cruel.
That's cruel. Yes. So that actually kind of put me in the, he's a villain. Because of the way he's acting.
That's exactly what I thought too. And we talked about this, not on this, but we talked about just the idea that Quicksilver in general is not like a cruel character, and the fact that he would be talking to her like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. What they might be doing, because we don't know that this is the episode he shows up. He could show up in the next episode. So let's say
the clip, we talked about how it looks like it's supposed to be the promo for the next episode, like that this clip was supposed to drop after next week's episode.
Yeah, it looks like something that was maybe going to be part of a trailer or a promo. Mm-hmm. So I think I'm still in on, well, now I'm very in on he's going to show up next week.
Oh, for sure.
Which is the 80s episode, which is the Roseanne episode. Fun fact about Roseanne. Way late into the series Roseanne, the character of Becky was recast by another actress.
He walks up the stairs and comes back down as a different actress.
So there is something to be said for a joke, a meta joke there, that this is her brother now because he's been recast.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Oh, I didn't know it was Roseanne. I thought it was Family Ties.
Oh, you know, I think it is. I think it is like the storyline is Family Ties, but like everything looks so Roseanne. There isn't like a Roseanne. Like all their
I just remember Paul Bettany saying that the 80s episode was Family Ties.
It is. I think that their main, like the first episode was
kind of look the same in the 80s. Like, to be honest, all 80s sitcoms have that same set with that same couch that's like brownish with kind of like tweed stripes and stuff. They all kind of look the same way.
Yeah. So yeah, I think all the episodes have little nods to other stuff, or even like bigger, because the first one was Dick Van Dyke, but it was also I Love Lucy.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. And the Bewitched one also had, oh my gosh, now I can't think of. It also had I Dream of Jeannie vibes too.
Yeah, and I know that Matt Shackman has said sometimes they did a thing where like the plot is the same as one sitcom, the set is this other sitcom, and then they use things for like little things from other ones. So they're definitely doing a mix. Cool. So yeah, I think Drunk Uncle Evan Peters, all in.
Me too. As much as I want to see Jimmy Woo try to go in there and handle all that, he would classify as an outsider and therefore would not be welcome.
Yeah, she doesn't know.
Wanda would throw him out.
The only person they could send in now that she knows is Hawkeye, which still my second possibility.
Yeah.
If you want to send in someone to help Wanda.
Mm-hmm. So cool.
The leaked clip also has.
I was wondering if you were going to address this part.
The leaked clip also showed Vision leaving the barrier.
Mm-hmm.
He
potentially.
Well, no, I'm talking about the full. He pulls his way through, and we see him on the other side.
Oh, gotcha.
Parts of him start flying back into the barrier. So I assume he gets completely sucked back in, piece by piece, but not before he warns the people out there that the people inside the barrier need help. Mm-hmm. By the Halloween episode, Vision, I think, is all caught up on how bad things are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But this shows him at least not turning into a dead robot outside the barrier.
But we also know once things go in, they tend to stay the way they are when they're inside. Because when Monica got thrown back out, she still was the same.
That's true. Yeah. But the barrier also does not want him to leave.
Yeah.
Or Wanda's on the other side of the barrier pulling him back.
Mm-hmm.
One of those.
One of those. Well, that is it for this episode of MCU Explained. We went through all of the 4th episode of WandaVision. Again, I'm Susan.
I'm Tab.
And we are MCU Explained. I've said that like 6 times, so hopefully you know who we are by now, but all of our social media is in the description below, so you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And also please click the subscribe button. We would love to have you notified as to when all of our videos go live. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.